Welcome to another edition of Bastard Answers of Fate. theRealManos posed 10 questions to his viewers, and these are my answers. Question number 1. Which Marvel DC characters will come back to life in 2010? Now, this isn't including Steve Rogers, who I think has already come back, and Bruce Wayne as Batman, who is most assuredly coming back. You know, honestly, I don't follow either universe all that much to really answer this question. And as a matter of fact, I went online and tried to look for a list of dead people in the Marvel Universe or DC Universe and couldn't find anything. You know, as macabre as that is, you'd think somebody would have a list out there of people who are living and dead in each universe. So I'm going to say Agatha Harkness. She was the nanny for Franklin Richards, son of Reed and Sue Richards, who are part of the Fantastic Four. Something happened during Avengers Disassembled, I haven't read it personally, with Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, and something happened between her and Agatha, I believe, died, or something happened to her. She's not around. I think she's going to return next year, and there's going to be a major storyline concerning Franklin Richards. But if that doesn't happen, it's no skin off my teeth, because I don't really read Fantastic Four anyway. Question number 2 is, what did Mary Jane whisper in Mephisto's ear at the end of One More Day? I did not read One More Day, and from the looks of things, I am not going to read One More Day. But I'll take a stab anyway. She said, there's always room for Jell-O. Question number 3, which movie on MST3K could be remade into an actual good film? I'm not going to give you just one, I'm going to give you 5, and I'm going to give you the directors of the movie as well. Number 5, Catalina Caper, directed by Christopher Guest. Number 4, Mitchell, directed by Bryan Singer. Number 3, Space Mutiny, directed by Ridley Scott. Number 2, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, directed by Tim Burton. And number 1, Manos, The Hands of Fate, directed by Guillermo del Toro. Question number 4, is there a film that you love that everyone else hates? You know, there's really nothing off the top of my head. I don't love this film, but a lot of people give X-Men 3 a lot of flack, and I think it's unnecessary, especially since the other 2 films had their obvious flaws. I could just make a whole video about the X-Men trilogy, and maybe down the road I will. Question number 5, how would the Avengers/Justice League handle the questions raised at the end of Watchmen? Captain America, Green Lantern, and Batman would be the Rorschach character, convinced that the public needed to know what Ozymandias had done at all costs. Thor, Martian Manhunter, and Superman would be a bit more understanding, like Dr. Manhattan, who realizes that Ozzy's actions were for some greater good, twisted as they were. The rest of the group would be like Night Owl and Silk Spectre, angry and upset and wanting to do something, but ultimately realizing that they're pretty much powerless to change what has happened. Question number 6, favorite MST3K episode? I'm gonna say The Final Sacrifice. It's a really great Mike episode, and I just love some of the quotes that they have. Rosdower! Just the whole Rosdower thing, and the guy that sounds like Yosemite Sam. What are you doing in here? I just crack up whenever I hear him talk. Knew him, he was delicious. I jerked him. Question number 7, which manga character would fit in well in the Marvel or DC universe? I don't read manga, so I really can't say. What I really think would be amusing is if one of the universes, it doesn't matter if it's Marvel or DC, somehow got switched over into the Pokemon universe, and they in essence became Pokemon. And people would fight back and forth. They would choose their Marvel character. I choose you, Captain America! And then the ball that he's in would crack open and he'd come jumping out, and then they'd have a fight back and forth. I just think that would be hilarious. And it would be just such a nonsensical idea that I think it would work really well. Question number 8. What book or series of books could be adapted into a comic, limited or ongoing? Well, they've already done The Dark Tower. They've made that into a Marvel comic. And the Anita Blake comics, I think they're modeled off a series of books. I don't know. There's really nothing off the top of my head that I could see that would translate into a comic. I'm sure just about anything can translate into a comic that's in a book. I mean, they're pretty much similar. What I'm really surprised is that Harry Potter hasn't come out with a comic book yet. You'd think that would be a market that they want to get into, because I'm sure kids go to see Harry Potter, and if there was a comic that was based around the universe, even if it's not about Harry Potter per se, they'd probably eat it up. Question number 9. What's more important, tight continuity or good stories? I'm going with good stories. I can overlook Marvel and DC's continuity problems because they've been around for like 30 plus years, some of them even longer. So in that time, of course, continuity is going to get skewed. But in that vein, the larger continuity I'm okay with. But if you're talking about continuity in terms of maybe like a 12-issue story, or continuity within the story itself, then I have a problem. You know, if someone does something here and then 3 issues later they do the exact opposite of what they would have done 3 issues earlier, or if in this issue they have a green costume and then in the next issue they have a blue costume, or they have no costume at all, or whatever, if there's some major difference in a very short amount of time, I think that's poor storytelling, and it shows that the writers don't know what they're doing. And there's very little interaction between the editors to keep everything concise and coherent. Finally, question number 10. Suggest a film, comic book, or trade paperback for RealManos to review. I won't suggest a comic book or trade paperback because I don't necessarily want you buying something you might not like. You know, if you rent a movie and you don't like it, at least you can return it. You're not wasting money on something that you now own that you don't like. I mean, you could probably resell it, but I'm recommending a movie called Angel of Death. It just came out this year. It's directed by Paul Etheridge, written by Ed Brubaker, who you may recognize. It stars Zoe Bell, who was also in Death Proof, and it's an interesting spin on crime drama. I think you might like it. I liked it a lot. The only criticism that I would have is that it doesn't have a very big replay value, but it was well written, it had a lot of good dialogue, and I enjoyed it a whole lot. A nice little yarn. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed my answers. Please tune in again when I do whatever I do next.